We did this to ourselves again.
We did it again. I'm sorry I decided to do this. I'm sorry I recommended it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for coming to this video.
Please don't get out, please.
Yeah, just leave.
We
Dislike
don't want
it
this video
because
to do
if
good.
this video does well, we're gonna have to watch more of these kind of movies and make more reviews.
So please don't watch this.
Yeah, don't watch this.
No, all right. And if you stuck around, hooray, fantastic.
Welcome to the video. Let's get started.
Let's do this. All right, The Mummy.
Where do we get started?
Where do we get started? All right, so this is a Halloween special. We're releasing this on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I saw this movie on, because we watch, reviewers who, review bad movies and stuff, and, Nostalgia Critic.
I've seen
Chris Stuckman
reviews
and
of this
stuff
movie.
like that.
Ralph the Movie Maker has a really funny review of this movie.
Yeah, tons of different, people who review movies and stuff. And
so I was like, it can't be
bad.
I
was like, you know what? I don't care. Let's do this. I was ready. I was excited to see this movie, and then we watched it, and it was worse than I expected. Somehow, I wasn't expecting it to be that
We'd
worse.
rate this a 2 out of 10.
Yep.
Because we can't find anything good about it. There's some decent or competent aspects, but there's nothing that's really good.
No.
So yeah, we're gonna give this a 2 out of 10. Even though it's better than the Attack on Titan movie, it's still terrible.
It's still really bad. All right, where do we begin? Well, let's start with the beginning of the movie. They proudly proclaim that this is the Dark Universe. And, throughout the credits, they're the Dark Universe. Presents and stuff like that. And then it starts, and they start in England.
And this movie, they try so hard to set up the Dark Universe. And, all these setups and, just stuff that doesn't really go anywhere. And the end of the movie is just a massive setup for another movie that I'm sure will never come out because this movie did horribly.
Yeah, it's not gonna come out. Thankfully.
Thankfully,
they tried to pull a Dark Knight ending, but anyway, we're talking about the beginning of the movie. So yeah, it starts in England. The Mummy, everybody.
Oh yeah,
and then it's Mesopotamia, and then it's Egypt, and then we have this backstory about
and then it just goes, and it just happens.
And then, all right, so this movie, we'll talk about one of the biggest issues is this movie is just exposition. The movie.
Oh yeah,
so
there
basically,
is so much. Every character exists to deliver exposition.
There are no characters in this movie. There are vessels to deliver exposition. Yeah. So there's basically this lady who is gonna become the queen, and then a baby gets born, and then she kills the baby and stuff like that.
This is in Egypt.
Yeah, but no, she can't just kill the baby. She has to bring Set, the god of death, into our world. Apparently, they really want you to know that.
Yeah,
Set will come.
They want you to know that Set is the god of death,
and that he'll come into the world if the chosen person is killed or whatever. And then they basically, throughout the movie, they just reiterate that point over and over.
At every opportunity, they want to tell you that Set is the god of death. And you should know that. Yeah, he's going to come back.
It's just the exposition over and over, and my life's work.
I would say, I'll edit in a clip of them saying that, but I don't want to watch this movie enough to find a clip where they say Set is the god of death.
Yeah.
But they do say it constantly.
They constantly say it over and over.
And this is something that this movie does with the exposition. They constantly tell you the same information over and over.
Yeah.
There was a part where Samuel's like, they're going to tell us another story. It's the 5th story. I'm like, no, it's the same story. They just told it 5 times.
Exactly.
And they constantly flash back to these same scenes we've already seen. And people just talk and they talk and they talk.
And
but they never
things.
They
explain why
yet
this
nothing makes
here.
any sense.
Yes, because they do so much explaining, you're bored. And you don't really, and there's so much information, you're like, oh, okay, and so you don't keep track.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at the beginning of the movie, they're going down into this pit, and then they need to explain why this pit is here, why there's mercury, They go down to the crash. Why the crash happened? What happened with the crash? They do all this stuff. They constantly explain.
Yeah.
Dr. Jekyll explains what's going to happen and how he could be a god and he's the cure for the evil in humanity. And he constantly explains how he's
And
gonna
I'm
do
pretty
this
sure
and
that
blah, blah.
whole thing with Dr. Jekyll, that whole...
It's a setup.
Yeah, that
It's
whole
just a
thing,
setup.
that's like half the movie, and it's a setup.
Yeah, it's just some stupid setup.
But yeah, they constantly explain things, yet the movie is filled with logical and just consistency-based plot holes. And like, they're walking through a cave of mercury, but mercury is toxic to humans. Like, what?
But it's fine. And they send the two people who committed basically like treason, who went against the orders.
They went against the order of the army. Instead of court-martialing them or like making them do duties or something or like run laps, no, they're gonna send them into the pit. And the thing is, they know that these guys broke regulations because they wanted to steal some ancient treasures or something, but yet they're sending these people to the place where the ancient treasure is. Why?
Why? And then they get out, and then first,
we're just scratching the surface. Every scene is filled with inconsistencies like this.
Yeah, there's minor ones.
Even if the entire movie was filled with inconsistencies and plot holes, if the characters were good, if it was entertaining, it wouldn't matter that much. Except none of that is.
No! Because the characters, all they do is deliver exposition. You don't know their personalities. The first one...
Well, you know what their personality is supposed to be.
Kind of.
But you don't really care or emphasize with them or just... It doesn't...
Yeah.
You don't care at all. You have zero investment in any people in this movie.
They're super unlikable. And there are very unlikable characters, but they're still good characters. Like in certain games and stuff like that. There are characters
I think we're thinking of the same character.
I think we are. But yeah, there's still characters that are unlikable, but they're still good characters and stuff like that. But these characters, he's like, oh yeah, he's talking to his friend, and then he's like, oh, we shouldn't be going down there, and he cuts his bag of water.
Yeah.
It's like, why should I...
To try to blackmail him into risking his life with a bunch of terrorists.
And then there's this lady, and all she cares about is like her archaeology, but at the same time she's like, there's a good person in you. Yeah.
She is the definition of a plot device character. She only exists to move the plot along. She exists to give you exposition about the Egyptians and to be a damsel in distress when Chris, Tom Cruise, whatever his name is, whenever Tom Cruise needs to do something, she'll be a damsel in distress and move the plot forward.
Help. And then there's the comic relief.
Yeah, she's basically makes the ending happen with like where he becomes set.
And then there's the comic relief dude who is there, and then he kind of dies, and he's like this.
And then he's this weird zombie that just appears, but he's not actually
super
there.
Inconsistent as well. Like sometimes it appears,
and it's really unclear if he's real or if like that was in Tom Cruise's imagination because of the mummy powers. But then at the end, he comes back to life.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise and the lady are like. There's supposed to be a romantic subplot there, yet they have zero chemistry whatsoever.
They have no chemistry, and then they go into the pit. They find the thingy. They bring it out. They carry it along. The thing happens. Oh no! And then he takes the parachute, gives it to her, and then he crashes. But earlier on, basically, he finds the map to this one place, like by stealing it from her.
Well, and after he had
sex with her and stuff like that. So it's like already these two characters dislike each other. Yeah. And obviously that's evolution of the character. But we never see that because all they never evolve. Exposition.
They never evolve, but then suddenly at the end they care for each other.
Yeah.
Why?
They never evolve, but like they do, but it all feels like it's happening off screen.
Yeah.
Like it's like
because all of the dialogue on screen is freaking exposition.
And so they get into the crash. They crash, and then he's mysteriously alive. Oh wow! I bet you're so nervous for him, right? Yeah. Well, he's alive still, and they marked him dead. So that's also another fallacy. Duh. They wouldn't mark him dead because obviously he would have a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't have a heartbeat, he would still be warm enough to like, oh, okay, this person's still not dead.
And like the mummy powers, kept him alive without a scratch.
But he would still be stuck in the hospital. They'd
Yeah.
be like, quarantine
Wait,
this man,
and
keep him there, make sure he doesn't escape, make sure
Yeah.
we're doing tests
And
on
in
him.
the next scene, he's drinking alcohol at a bar. No, he should be in the hospital. They would be watching him. What the heck?
Test this man.
Yeah, anyway,
find
interrogate
out.
him. Ask him how the heck he survived.
Yeah, and
But-
stuff like that. But
And
it's
also, he
super
was in this
unclear.
bag. Like, he should have suffocated in that plastic body bag.
But it's
mummy
mummy
powers,
powers,
whatever.
and
mummy
like-
power. That just every inconsistency in this movie. Just mummy powers.
Mummy powers. And so, then, yeah, he's in the bag that he's at the stupid bar and he's, like, drinking tons of beer and stuff because that's his character.
And then
I
he
guess.
goes
I don't
into
know.
the women's bathroom for some reason,
Even-
and he
that
talks
was
to the
pointless.
zombie ghost.
God.
And then he goes out into the alley, and he has this weird like fever dream where the mummy finds him, and there's a bunch of rats, but then it actually wasn't real. But like, because there was no clear part where it became a dream. So you wonder if the whole sequence is a dream, but then later characters allude to things that happened in that sequence. So you're like, what part was a dream? Where did it start becoming a dream?
Yeah.
Was the part in the bathroom a dream, or just when he went into the alley? It's really confusing.
I don't care.
Yeah, that's ultimately
But then-
the movie. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. But then he's like teleported to this one where they with the place with the lady, and he's like, you want to see the thingy, and then they're like, okay. And then they go to the church place, and the church is really like it's disassembled, and then all of a sudden it's assembled, or like he gets teleported to the church.
Yeah,
And, like the mummy.
Apparently,
takes
the
him.
mummy can teleport him, but yet we never see that power after this one scene.
No, and then she takes him, and then she's senses the sword, the dagger, but she doesn't sense the stone.
Yeah,
but
later on, she senses the stone.
She senses the stone.
Because there's a dagger and a stone, and basically you need to use the dagger and the stone to put the god of death set into
You kill
someone's
them,
body.
and then there
If
you
you
go.
kill them with the dagger, and you need both the stone and the dagger. But in this church, there's the dagger and not the stone. So she seems to know where the dagger is, but then she doesn't notice that there's no stone until she's about to use it. But then later on, she notices when the stone gets unearthed, like she just senses it. So what?
Mm-hmm. And then they get capped, and then they drive away, and then I guess she teleports them again, and because they're like driving
it's
away.
like somehow Tom Cruise, without even realizing it, drove back. It's
Or
kind of a
something,
neat
I don't know,
idea,
it's-
but then there's no explanation. You never really see it happen.
It could-
It just
like-
kind of like cuts from one scene, and then they're at the
It
church.
makes me think that it was unintentional.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. I don't know. But then they drive along. Some stupid action happens.
Yeah.
It's really generic action.
Basically, and even it's super generic. It's not
the
very
zombie guy
entertaining.
is trying to get into the car. They
It's-
kick him out.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff,
pretty
and-
much. Think about a zombie and a car, and you would imagine this scene.
All the typical scenarios.
Yeah.
The opening the door so they get hit by the tree. They come on top. They break the window.
And they break the window, and they're pulling the damsel in distress out through the window, but then she gets saved at the last minute.
Yeah, and then like the car wrecks, and then she's like, oh man, you should like hit her and stuff like that. And maybe she says, oh my god. Literally, they say 5 times, just oh my god.
Oh my god.
5 times.
And like this lady their acting is not the greatest. She's like, oh my god. And then sometimes she just loses her accent.
Yeah, like randomly she'll just lose her accent. Like she's trying to have a British accent, but then randomly she'll just lose it. And then, yeah, she's like, oh yeah, do that, you kick her and blah blah blah.
But at least it's serviceable. At least it's not. At least it's not the Attack on Titan movie.
No, but and then like the mummy hits him and he flies like 5 million feet into the air and then lands. And then she's about to come get him, and then they shoot harpoons at her, and that stops them. Like,
Yeah. And then,
yeah.
and later we see that she could practically level a city by just moving her arms around, but yet she gets stopped by these harpoons.
And then she gets taken to the thingy, and it's like this organization that
Yeah.
works apart from the thingy, and some of them went to go.
I
Speaking
hate
of
this
that-
part so much.
Speaking of that plane crash, like, apparently not all the survivors were found, but at the same time, some survivors were found. It's really unclear.
The timeline is really confusing
Yeah.
because you see all these bodies and we assume they come from the crash and they make it seem like that. But then later we see them discovering the bodies at the crash and it's night, but the timeline, like, it seems like that occurs
Yeah.
after the bodies in that one
So we're
scene.
not sure. And even then, it's still a logical fallacy because that's a military plane. The military would be on that within seconds. They would be tracking that thing. They'd be like, okay, why did this thing go down? We need to recover everything as possible that has valuable cargo. So obviously they would be there and investigate everything, but no.
But there's just like two guys, like Bob and Joe, just investigating it, and they of
get
course die.
infected.
They get turned into zombies.
But anyway, back to the part with it's even more stories and stuff. And
oh my goodness,
and
it's
it's
just
about
people
this
talking,
guy.
spouting generic.
And from what I...
But
we were able to predict about like 50% of the dialogue.
Yeah, like someone just pause it, and then he would say what they're gonna say, and then we play it, and they'd say exactly what he guessed.
They'd be like he would be like, who are you? And then I paused it, and I'd be like, he's gonna say, the more important question is, who are you? And then he said that.
Yeah,
that's what he did. But basically,
who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? And
Well,
then he's like,
who are you?
Who are you exactly, or something?
But anyway, basically, this organization is about like. It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's this, it's pretty famous monster if you know about monsters. It's this nice civilized dude, but then like he gets corrupted by this werewolf or this evil demon person thing. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it wasn't demon. But anyway, he's like the head of this weird organization that's against monsters, and they keep monsters.
They want to keep evil from invading the world, I guess.
But at the same time,
but
it implies they're evil.
Yeah.
So we don't know what to think of them.
And then sometimes it's like the part where it's like it's trying to make you feel bad for the mummy, like because she's getting the mercury injected into her. Mm-hmm. What the heck? She's the villain. She's an evil person who sucks out people's life forces.
Why would you care about her?
Yeah.
But then, like, he's like, Dr. Jekyll, I will give the movie this. They at least have one little thing of show, don't tell. And it's, he has to, in order to keep the evil away of Dr. Jekyll, he has to implant himself with that. That's the only good thing.
Yeah,
that's
he
the
has to
only
inject
time.
himself.
That's the only time show, don't tell what was involved. But then he's like, okay, yeah, a certain sacrifice will need to be made, and he's going to have to kill him. And then Tom Cruise is acting like it's a phone plan, and he's like, I'm not interested at all. I'm not interested in 15% down. I need a no lease, no agreement, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it sounds like that. And then he turns into Mr. Hyde, and then they have a battle, and then he escapes, and so does she. And then the mummy is like, and like the sand dust glass thing.
The mummy sucks someone's life force out, and then suddenly like that one life force just transforms them into this god. They have the power to shatter all of the glass in the city and crack buildings and stuff. But then later she tries to fight Tom Cruise by slapping him.
Just slapping him around.
Yeah, she just slaps him like. But she could use these godly powers to probably just like lock him down or something.
And then he, more fighting stuff.
Doesn't she have the ability to control his actions? They kind of set that up earlier.
Yeah, and that she could teleport them. But anyway, so then like there's this one random scene as well where it's like they're sitting down talking, and like this is like the only time characters involved. She's like, I know you're a good person. And then that's it.
Throughout the movie, I kept thinking, maybe they'll develop the characters at some point. But then the movie ended, and I realized that they didn't.
No, but then, she's like, oh, you're a good person. He's like, no, I'm not, blah, blah, blah. The typical hero stuff. But then again, he isn't a good person.
That's
not been established. But anyway, so he there's the Gus thing, and then like he runs into the ghost guy who hasn't been in the movie for 30 minutes at this point. And then they take him to the sewer thing, and then she finds the stone. And then she has to bait him into coming to her using whatever her name was, the damsel in distress lady.
I don't remember the names of any character.
Them. She could like teleport Tom Cruise, or at least it felt like it was established that she could teleport Tom Cruise.
It seems
or whatever.
like it, yeah.
And she has even more powers, so shouldn't she be able to teleport him now, even, or whatever?
Yeah,
she gets him.
The woman dies,
and she dies, and then he just kind of has the one expression that everybody had in the theaters when they saw it. He just insert the clip just right there, and he just goes like, he like shrugs, and then she starts slapping him around, and then he's like, ooh.
This part just makes no sense. Her goal is to turn him into Set by stabbing him with the dagger. But yet, she has every opportunity to do that, but instead she just slaps him around.
Hits
hits
him
him with
up
the
and
crowbar.
throws him across the thingy,
Yeah,
and then...
instead of she could just do it right there, and she could accomplish her goal, but yet chooses not to for some reason.
And then he decides to stab himself, becoming the god of death. But
because he wants to save the damsel in distress.
Yeah, and then the good inside of him triumphs over evil.
The good
and
inside of
kills
him
her.
beats the god of death.
Yeah, because he was so good. And then he kills her, sucks her soul out, and then he's like, oh man, I miss you so much. Rawr. And then she comes back, and he's like, I'm going to have to go into hiding. And if you've seen the Dark Knight ending, you've seen this ending. She's like, I'm gonna have to go to hiding, and then she's like, oh, they're coming after you. They're gonna come after you, and he's like, I know that. And then he like revives his comedic relief boyo, and then they ride off into the sunset with epic farts.
Pretty much.
This
well,
movie
guys,
sucks.
all in all, this movie sucks. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our review of The Mummy 2017. The first entry of the Dark Universe and the last.
And probably one of one. I know what you're going to say. We actually did the entire Dark Universe in one video. I know, that's pretty impressive.
I know.
But
we are the top critics on this site.
We are. So be sure to check out our other videos because I don't want this video to do well.
Yeah, go watch videos about something good.
Don't watch this video. Please don't.
Definitely don't. Well... I mean, if you got this far, you already watched it.
I already did, but still.
I hope you enjoyed, maybe.
Maybe? I don't know. Don't watch it. Just don't.
Don't watch the movie.
That's why people like us are here. We watch bad stuff so you don't have to.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, I guess. Bye. Leave a comment about what you thought. Like and subscribe. See ya.